the biggest incident we saw in the race, and that was, of course, Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar, a driver known to be very aggressive and ruffle feathers. And Bubba Wallace is personally one of my personal favorite drivers, but I am well aware that Bubba Wallace, when he sees red, he sees red. Like he gets mad as hell in that helmet sometimes and just does not think. And I think that's what we had here. I did hear Bubba Wallace's interview, and I don't know if either of y'all noticed, but I did notice it throughout the day, and I was curious if anything was ever going to come of it. And something did end up coming of it, but I was surprised on what it was. But on the first lap of the race, I saw him do it. Carson Hocevar if he was on the inside on a restart, and I think he was on the inside almost every time because you get lane choice, but even on the first lap of the race, every single time that Carson Hocevar restarted on the bottom, he at least poked his nose to make it 3 wide every single time. And it worked out well for him, I'd say, all race long. And it just ruffled the wrong feathers as it ruffled Bubba Wallace's feathers. Bubba was not happy with Hocevar sending it into turn 1 like he did 3 wide. And in my opinion, I saw the onboard camera. I'm still not 100% sure that Bubba Wallace was trying to wreck him, per se. I'm like 80 or 90% sure he was trying to wreck him, but I'm 120% sure that he was at least trying to send a message and really fuck with them. I'm so positive on that for sure. But Bubba Wallace ended up sending it into turns 3 and 4, hitting Hocevar in the bumper 3, 4, maybe 5 times, ended up spinning Hocevar, ended up wrecking himself, totaling his race car. And I picked him this week. It's the first DNF in weekly picks, and I put $10 on him. I lost $10, but Bubba Wallace wrecked himself and honestly shot himself in the foot and had to finish behind the wall. After wrecking Hocevar, he couldn't move his car anymore. He totaled his race car. I even saw Freddie Kraft, and I was surprised that Freddie Kraft didn't defend Bubba Wallace on DBC, door bumper clear. He was very honest that stuff like that just can't happen. It just can't happen. Because Bubba Wallace, there was definitely intent there to get into him. Like I said, I don't know if he intentionally wrecked him per se, but he should have known that possibly could happen. But when you're just seeing red, you're just seeing red. And that's all Bubba Wallace saw in that moment. So I got to call a spade a spade. Bubba Wallace, that was one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen Bubba Wallace do, or really any driver do, because he just destroyed his own race car, and he potentially had a top 10 car and ended up finishing 36th and dropped from 3rd in points to, I think, 11th in points because of this. So just a really idiotic move, I would say, by Bubba. I want to get the Pacecar boys' thoughts on this. I guess I'll start with Cory on this one. Cory, how did we feel about the incident between Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar?
I think Freddie Kraft described it perfectly. He said Carson did nothing wrong. Like, honestly, with this car, if I start on the bottom lane, I'm taking it 3 wide every time. Every time. Like, that's the only way you're going to pass right now. So, Carson did nothing wrong. And then Bubba, it sucks because I feel like Bubba's always under a microscope the most, but he clearly made a mistake. Like, whether it was anger, whether it was he was trying to wreck him, whether it was just an accident, it still was the worst accident of the weekend, and it looked bad.
Actually, no,
like even on the broadcast was like, wow, like he flat out wrecked him. Like that's what it looked like, So I know Bubba. We've talked about his maturity a lot, and like he's grown so much over the past few years. I just feel like he finally had a lapse in judgment or made just a bad mistake, and it took him from 3rd in the points to a 5-way tie for 8th or a 4-way tie for 8th. So it sucks, and hopefully he doesn't do it again because it looked bad.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a lapse in judgment. He just saw red in the moment. I personally feel like if that was literally any other driver in the field, we probably wouldn't have had that happen. If it was any other driver other than Carson Hocevar that made that move, because a lot of people don't like Carson at this point. Carson pulls a lot of aggressive moves, and like I said earlier, Hocevar was doing that he did it on the start of the race. On every single restart, he was sending it in there 3 wide, but I do agree with you, Cory, how the way this car races and it's difficult to pass, it's probably a smart move to do that if you're able to do that, make it 3 wide and the drivers are willing to give you the space. But Bubba probably saw him do it a couple times throughout the race. At some point, he's probably had some sort of incident with Hocevar. He doesn't like the way Hocevar races or the way he handles himself or whatever the case may be. And he just, at that point, was like, I'm done. Somebody needs to do something about this guy. And I think that's probably was his mindset going in there, going into 3 and 4. Is like, I'm going to be the one that finally takes down Carson Hocevar. And he ended up taking down himself. He ended up taking himself out in that incident. So huge mistake, I'd say, by Bubba Wallace. Hopefully he's able to learn from it for sure. And Hocevar ended up still getting like a top 20. I think he got 16th. He still ended up getting a top 20 finish, which his car was destroyed. I'm amazed that he was able to pull that off. But Tyler, how are we feeling about this incident with Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar on lap 323?
I mean, you can blame the media. They have been hyping somebody up, everybody up, to do something about this guy since the season started. I mean, well, since last year. I mean, let's be real. Yeah. Somebody's been saying, no, somebody's got to do something. He's still going to do what he wants until somebody do something. But guess what? He's still going to do what he wants. It's not going to change a goddamn thing. Carson's going to go out there. He's still going to send it 3 wide, and he's still going to do what he feels like he has to do. They can continue to wreck him all they want, but it doesn't make a difference in his life. 0. None. And Bubba, Bubba was drooling for that chance because Bubba is a hothead anyway, and he's always blamed for everybody he wrecks and all of the bullshit. Doesn't matter if he's right or wrong, he gets blamed for it. That was somebody he could put his ass on the wall and everybody was going to sit back and go, well, we seen it coming. So I don't know. It was definitely one of those we seen it coming moments. The media has been hyping him up to do it, and Carson probably deserved it a little bit, but at the same time, Carson's smart as hell, and he's going to do the only thing he can do to pass with these damn cars, and that's send it 3 wide and dare somebody to do something about it. Unfortunately, somebody did something about it. Did it ruin his day? Not completely. He's still, 16th and did something to salvage his time, and poor Bubba parked it. So, I don't know. Bubba lost that one for sure.
Yeah, because I can't imagine how the reaction would have been if Bubba was able to wreck Hocevar cleanly and end his race and not get any damage to himself. I think a lot of fans probably would have been upset because fans don't already like Bubba, and a lot of fans like Hocevar, but the garage reaction, you probably would have gotten out of the car. It would have been a Dale Earnhardt 1998 Daytona 500 situation. Everybody would have been like, yeah, give him high fives and stuff. That's probably what it would have been if he successfully hit it, for sure. Even though Hocevar, like y'all said, Hocevar didn't really do anything. It was aggressive, but he didn't do anything wrong. It's not like he sent it in there and doored the shit out of Bubba. I think he made very slight contact in 1 and 2, but you're 3 wide at Martinsville. I think that's just going to happen. You're 3 wide at Martinsville. Like, you're going to make at least a little bit of contact. I don't think it was anything extreme. I don't even know if he actually touched him. It was very close to really touching him. But Hocevar didn't really do anything wrong. But I think Bubba's mind in that moment, somebody needs to do something about this guy. He's going to cause an accident. I'm tired of this guy. And just saw red in the moment and just... He wrecked Hocevar, but he totaled his own race car, getting a DNF after such an amazing start to the year. Bubba Wallace is now, like you said, I think it's a 4-way tie for 8th. I think that's what it is, Cory. I forget if that's exact. I think that's what it is, though. It was just crazy that we have a big tie like that in points right now. But it was dumb, and this comes from a Bubba Wallace fan. It was completely idiotic what he did. It was completely idiotic. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. How did you feel about the incident with Bubba Wallace and Carson Hocevar?